typically what people do, they think when people say you have good paneling, for example, if it's a compliment and they think your shots are cool and your stuff flows very well, they'll say you have good paneling, when in reality it's just composition that matters. In reality, paneling doesn't matter as much as most people think it does, even though it can make a page look better. I think typically you want to focus more on composition than anything else, because I don't know, when it comes to paneling, you can make any kind of panel border work. For example, paneling is just the squares, so any kind of paneling border that you use, you can make work any way you assemble it. It doesn't really matter how it looks like this. What matters is just what you put in it. So I have some examples drawn here, naturally. Okay. Here's the second example. As you can see, the same paneling, but different composition. And what happens is it makes the page flow a lot better if you consider whatever's going inside the page. You know, using the rule of thirds, using more interesting shots that are different, because when you use shots like this, where all the shots are like heads and they're chest up, what happens is it gets very boring and it feels very static. However, if you sort of change the shots, show some backgrounds, typically it makes the whole page more interesting overall. I'm going to talk about something else. Okay, introduction into something else that is similar to what I was just talking about, but also not really on the same topic. But I wanted to cover it anyway, because I don't do this often, to be honest. So, what we're going to talk about is establishing shots. So, typically, when people think of establishing shots, they're not wrong in thinking this, by the way, because this still works. But, like, what they'll think of is just showing the whole cityscape or whatever. That's a city, by the way. Anyway, they'll think of showing the whole cityscape or the whole landscape of whatever background is that they're drawing. But in reality, you don't really need to show like a landscape like this if you don't want to. In reality, there's a lot of ways to show an establishing shot. Like, it doesn't even have to be the first thing that you see on a page. For example, in Dan Dan, there's like a close-up of one of the characters, and after that it shows the classroom and where Okuran is in the classroom. I think what's more important than showing an establishing shot that doesn't show any characters is like showing sort of where the character is in the space. Because in reality, I don't know how many people really care about where they are. Well, they do, obviously. But I think it's more interesting to show where the character is and also show the background, rather than just showing the background itself. And it's probably funner to draw, so you don't have to draw this big old cityscape. You can just draw the character in the town or in the classroom or whatever. And you can draw some classmates around, rather than just drawing like an outside of the school building, which still works, by the way. But I think it works better or it can still work if you choose to do it a different way, like this. Also, to add on to that, you can, let's say it's a tournament thing, and it's the first shot in the thing, and you want to show an establishing shot or show where the characters are. You can easily just make a shot like this. We can show the crowd over here, but it'll just be circles usually, but this will make the shots more interesting too, because like you're not just showing the outside of an arena or something like that. So even with this shot here, you could show some of the crowd cheering before you show this shot here. And I think that makes everything a lot more interesting when you really think about it. And it's easier to draw, quicker to draw. If you have deadlines, then it's probably better to do it like that. Obviously, cityscapes, everything else can work. Whatever people are telling you can still work. But I think it's better to try and make it easier and still interesting for yourself if you prefer to draw characters. I'm done. Okay, I'm going.